All right, folks, welcome. This session is being recorded. We are at NVTI 2021 New Products, Updates, and Resources, also known as What's New at NVTI. And we're just going to be talking to you a bit about the things we're working on, some stuff that we're pretty excited about, and that a lot of you have really contributed to. And so this is also a big thank you to everyone in the audience here, because the work we do, obviously, we couldn't do without you. You're really who it's all for. So my name is Hannah Toney. I'm Director in Learning and Technology at Management Concepts, and I am a co-program manager for the NVTI contract and the curriculum director. So not going to read through my bio, but I've got a background in instructional design, a doctorate in curriculum and instruction, and of course, probably most importantly, a bachelor's in fine arts in design and technical theater, which was my first career, and I am thrilled to be here. It's absolutely my honor to serve as a co-program manager and curriculum director with NVTI. Absolutely what gets me out of bed in the morning, quite frankly. So I'm very pleased to be here, and I am very pleased to be here with Mr. Brandon Webb, who's the Assistant Director from the California Field Office. He's also the NVTI lead for DOL Vets, so he's on detail at Vets. We are incredibly thrilled to have him in this partnership, and it is truly a partnership. His background in training, education, and program management really shines through. The experience that he brings with JVSG, HVRP, and the TAP programs, including USERA, and of course, VP, Veterans Preference Investigations, is critical to informing the work that we're doing and really enhancing that partnership. And then, of course, as you can see on his bio, he served as a commandant for the Air Force's largest airman leadership school overseas, and has a master's in business administration and a bachelor's in information technology and 3 associate's degrees. He's going to be my co-presenter today. Really thrilled with this partnership, and I'm very glad to have Brandon with us today to present along with me. And I'm actually going to hand it over to Brandon to talk through a little bit in the next part of this webinar. Thanks, Brandon.
Hi, Hannah, and thank you for the introduction. And as Hannah said, we're super excited to present today to show you kind of what we're working on and what's coming up. And as she said, just a kind of a thank you to all of the folks that have been involved with all the developments. There is a lot going on, and kind of I wanted to show you all and highlight at first was just the course completions. And you can see on the slide that 3 years in 2019 there was 108 classes. 2020 117, and we're well on our way. In 2021 we've got 50 already. That's as of March last month, so we're a little above that number now. But really what I wanted to highlight was the 2020 year. And you all know that 2020 was probably the craziest year on record, just with the pandemic and everything that happened. And what the numbers show is that nobody sat around. You all didn't sit around. You got after it. We increased the courses, the classes that you took, the number of completions, and NVTI. All the folks at NVTI working hard to develop these classes and put them together. And so it kind of goes back to why we do this. Why is training important? We know that training, a well-trained person has higher morale, more job satisfaction, is more efficient and productive. All of this is important, but above all, a well-trained person is better able to assist the veteran that you're sitting down face to face with, or you're engaging with. And so this is the meat and potatoes of why we do what we do. We know that you all are out there working as hard as possible to assist those veterans in whatever capacity. And so we want to make sure that we're working just as hard to make sure that we provide those training opportunities at NVTI. And so we're going to look at some objectives today. We're going to navigate through the learning platforms. We're going to look at some product types, what's coming up with NVTI, what's new. Something we're really excited about is the development of the certificate program. And then we're going to ask for your feedback and let you know how to contact us. Our agenda, as I stated, we're going to look at learning platforms and products. We're going to look at the Student Central, the different modalities or different courses, the way that you can participate with NVTI in your learning, some podcasts, webinars, resources, articles. We're going to look again at what exactly we're working on. We're going to take a look at all of the courses that have been revised and that we're currently working on. And then we're going to talk a little bit about what's coming up through 2021 and how you can get involved. And with that, I'm going to turn it back over to Hannah.
Awesome. Thank you so much. We just wanted to spend a little bit of time here talking a little bit about the various learning platforms that we have at NVTI, and as Brandon highlighted, the various resources and modalities with which we are able to offer what I really like to call learning experiences, more than just training, because they're in many cases elements that you can access throughout your day and just in time whenever the moment arises. So we're going to look specifically at the NVTI website. So that's nvti.org. Many of you have been there and are aware of what's there, but we want to make sure that you see some of the new resources and elements that are available. We'll visit NVTI Student Central really briefly. That's, of course, where you will launch your classes whenever you come to classes, and we'll do a real quick jump in there. And also, of course, take a look at the Making Careers Happen for Veterans Community of Practice. And I just want to highlight some of the activities that are going on there and the way that you can get in the community to learn from others, develop approaches, and look at some of the new topics that we've put into the community. So I'm going to bring a screen over on top of what we're sharing right now. And then I'm really quickly going to live share my screen so that we can take a look at these various elements. So I'm sharing my second monitor. And that means that you should be looking right now at nvti.org. So should be looking right now at at our website. So the website was updated last year. I assume most of you all have probably been there since then, but we did do a major update of it. So if you have not, this will look quite different than it did before. Here you can look at our class schedule, so our most up-to-date class schedule. You can look at class descriptions, and then we can also look at the various course delivery methods, so that when you see if a course says it's an online cohort, well, what does that even mean? If it says it's self-paced or virtual or classroom or an online curriculum, each one of those describes how you would engage with the materials, and we have the descriptions up here online. So if you want to do a little bit more research around, I'm enrolled in an online cohort, what is that going to mean for me? This is a great place to start so that you can take a look at kind of the capabilities that you're going to need and what you can expect before you ever walk into the class. And I know that that's really important so that you can feel prepared for a class. We also, of course, have the resources section, and this is a part that continues to grow and continues to have more useful information. So I'm going to click on it so we get onto the overall resource page, and you can see where, so here is where the webinars are. It's where the recording of this webinar will be placed, as well as once we get the closed captioning work completed, the fully accessible recording of the webinar. So all you have to do is click on that, and that will take you to all of our historical webinars. We also have added just over the last year or so microlearning, and we have a number, Brandon will really talk about this more later. We have a number of microlearning elements that are being worked on right now. So if you were to click on the microlearning, you're going to see that we have microlearning on grants management, and then we have some that we've developed on how to use the Making Careers Happen for Veterans Community of Practice that I discussed. So you click on this and you can watch any of these micro-learning elements. And what makes a learning element micro-learning is that it is short, it's bite size. That's the whole idea behind it, is it's something that you can watch when you need to do one of these activities and be guaranteed that you can watch it in. These are 10 minutes or less. I think one of them might actually go up to 8 minutes, which is really getting a little long for a micro learning. We like to keep them as short as possible. And there are a number of additional micro learnings that we are working on. Again, Brandon will highlight those, so I'm not going to take the wind out of his sails on that one. But there are quite a few. We've also, and as you can see, I can get to the same places up here that I got to when I just clicked on resources. We're also working on a new product line as well, and that's the podcasts. We've recently posted episode 3, which was a discussion with Mr. James Rodriguez that we really enjoyed engaging in. And so this has been posted, and you can download the transcript or listen to the the podcast. We have a couple of other episodes that some of you helped with, a number of you. Really valuable conversations we got to have during these. We learned a lot making them about the skills necessary and the jobs that you do. And we have several more in the works as we speak. In fact, there are some that are being finalized right now. So we're very happy to have these up. Again, the idea being that these are things that you can listen to anytime, anywhere, very much like the micro learnings. We want to be able to extend that learning experience outside of the traditional or untraditional virtual classroom so that you have what you need when you need it and where you need it. The website also works really well on a mobile device, so you can do all of these things on a mobile device as well. We also, of course, have the resources section here, and I'm not going to hit every single section, but these are definitely, I think, the highlights for you all. The resources section, as you can see, we're adding specific special population areas. We already have more that we are collecting for some developments that we're doing. So you're going to see the overarching resource sections expand over the next several months. And even with what we have here, they're separated into specific agencies and partners, resources for HVRP grantees, JVSG new hire resources. So this is where you'll find things like the JVSG primers, grantee resources, specific things on legislation, and then we have really specific resources to serve employers so that an LVER might work with, and then resources to serve veterans, so resources that might be particularly applicable for a DevOps specialist job, and then the state resources for veterans preference laws. So always expanding, and we're making a concerted effort also in our articles here. We've really ramped up. I think some of you will probably have noticed the featured articles that we have, and we're making a concerted effort to cross-post those articles in the appropriate resources section. So for instance, if we're covering in an article small business administration support for veteran entrepreneurs, if we have an article that covers that, that's also going to be in the most applicable section in resources. So you don't have to worry that you're missing something because you go to one place on the website. We're trying to make sure that you can get to the information you need in as many different avenues as possible, at the same time without making it confusing for you. So really encourage you to come here, check out what's available if you haven't been for a while. And speaking of places to check out if you haven't been for a while, I want to do a quick switch over to NVTI Student Central. This is, of course, where you launch your classes. As you can see, I get enrolled in all the classes, so they're all here for me. We've recently updated our need to know area to make it a little bit easier to find the information that you need, so that we have it really separated into the before, during, and after class information. So that's been a recent update. We've also updated the resources, again, to help it be as easy to find the resource that you're looking for as possible, and making sure that we're directing you as seamlessly and as streamlined as possible to the best possible location. The other thing that I wanted to really show you that I think has changed dramatically over really just this year, just 2021, is the Making Careers Happen for Veterans community of practice. So this is the community, the peer-to-peer community of practice, where you can connect with other practitioners across the country. And those of you who may have come to this community 4 months ago, at the very beginning of 2021, or at the very end of 2020, might think, I went there and there was some potential, but there wasn't a lot of action happening. Like, I saw posts from 2018 and 2019 and nothing new. Good news. We've engaged one of our instructors, who many of you all will know, Greg Davis, and we're working very closely with Greg to ensure that this community is continually moderated. So Greg is in communication with us very regularly, checking about postings, making sure that new and updated information is getting put on in the community or on the community, making sure that the comments, that questions are being answered or being directed to individuals who can answer them. So he's really been engaged in it. And what we've seen, and I'm going to scroll down here, is a lot more. You start looking at the dates next to these postings, and that there are stars and people responding to them. I went in earlier today to check out the top 10 reasons to hire veterans, and you start to see that there is a really nice conversation. And I'm not going to stay there too long. I don't want to make anybody sick, but if you want to read it, you have to go here. Um, but there's a really nice conversation going on. And as you get into these various topics, it's wonderful to see that the back and forth is really expanding, and the number of resources is expanding, and you'll also see that we've added additional topics. There's announcements and events here now. We've got some outreach and networking for employers here. We've got a folder that we created that was just resources that didn't fit in other topic areas. And each one of these is really becoming more and more populated. We're seeing that folks are coming back again and again. So we encourage you, if you came to this site, 4-6 months ago and thought there's potential there, but it's not quite useful to me yet, jump back in and give it a try, because Greg has really ramped up the value, and then you all have really added to that by some of the phenomenal conversations, and back and forth across states and across regions that we're seeing going on. So we're really happy with that. And want to make sure that folks are taking full advantage. But that's kind of my overarching, my high level review of our various resources that are available. And we really look forward to any questions, any comments that you have on those, anything that you would like to learn more about as you start to explore. As Brandon mentioned, that we're really going to make sure at the end of this that we give you some opportunities and avenues to reach out to us, so that as you get in there and explore and you have advice for us or requests for us, that we're able to hear all of those. So thank you very much for that. I really appreciate the time to kind of give you that overview. And I am going to turn this over to Brandon to talk to us a little bit about, as he kind of highlighted, there's a lot going on. So there's a lot of updates and additions that I'll let him talk to you all about.
Yes, thank you, Hannah. So the next few slides are going to highlight kind of everything that's going on, and it's a lot. And so I just wanted to kind of give you an overview of how things are going, where we're currently at, and what's coming up. So this first slide, you can see that if it's an update, usually means it's less than 25% of the content has been updated. And so what you're looking at right now is those courses that were available. We have the local Veterans Employment Core Competency Development that was available in March, the Leadership for Integration and of Veteran Services, also available in March. We got a few more courses that are undergoing post-pilot updates, so that means there was a pilot course, and now we received some feedback, and now we're updating the courses again based on that feedback. And you can see we've got JVSG, HVRP. There's the grants management course we're currently in. It's under development. The DevOps Specialist Refresher and Cross-Training course, also under development. Some more courses. This is a revision, which means that the course has more than 25%. And so these courses here are more specific to the federal staff, except for the 9633 course. We have our Uniform Services Employment Reemployment Rights Act course, which is a major redevelopment. Got a lot of new guidance that's being inputted, some solicitor videos, a lot of things changing with that course. Same with the VEOA course. A lot of updates happening with that course right now. We've got a lot of good people working to help us update these courses, and I just want to say just a quick word about that. There are a lot of you all that are involved deeply with these courses, and you get a lot of requests for reviews and input, and we truly appreciate that, and it's absolutely needed and valued for these courses. We can develop these courses in a bubble all day long and think that we've hit the target with these things. However, without your feedback, we just don't know. And there is a lot that happens after a post-pilot course, and that we get feedback and say, hey, what about this or that? Or have you thought about changing this around or restructuring this? And it's excellent, outstanding feedback that we desperately need. So looking at some new developments, we have the Standouts Grant course that is available now. The Lever Refresher and Cross-Training course is coming in spring, and an exciting new development. This is the 9610 course was already available. However, it has gone under a major redevelopment. So this is not even, if you could even say it's even the same course now. And so what you're looking at is 6 courses that we're going to present in a series of 3 different courses. So the first course is coming out in May, the Justice Involved and Veterans Experiencing Homelessness. Really excited about that course. I think it's going to be a good one. Same with the other courses. We're really looking forward to piloting these courses and getting your feedback on how they went and what we can improve on. Some other new developments. as Hannah highlighted, there's currently 3 podcasts that are available on the NVTI website right now. The Serving Your Rural Veterans, DevOps Specialists, and the Leadership Podcast with the Deputy Assistant Secretary, Mr. James Rodriguez. All 3 outstanding. Real close to being finished is the Leader Staff Skills Podcast. I actually listened to the recording. It's still got a lot of work to do as far as our side, going through the remediation and 508 and stuff, but it's going to be a good one. I think you're really going to enjoy that one. We've got in spring coming up. You'll see that this is kind of a season theme. In spring, we've got the Encouraging Apprenticeships for Veterans. And we've got an indirect cost webinar from the Office of Cost Determinations. And again, that one's based directly on feedback from the field. We had some training. We got some follow-on questions, and so we wanted to present those in a question and answer format. So we're going to be able to get those questions answered through this webinar. Another super exciting one that a lot of you all are involved with is the new triage process from NASLA. That's going to be a really useful microlearning. Some other microlearnings we got on tap this summer that we're currently working on, and they're grants related. So that we got the responsibility for a grant, assuming a responsibility, establishing and maintaining a work file, and then understanding the statement of work. So if you're new to grants, or if you're a seasoned grants person, this is going to apply directly to you. Always something to learn. As you know, if you've ever read one of these applications, they can be confusing, and so we're going to try and demystify that a little bit through these microlearnings. And again, these microlearnings are just real small chunks of information that is presented in a powerful way. So great opportunity to learn on the fly with not a lot of time involved. Continuing the summer, we've got some really cool podcasts on tap, and so we're looking forward to having conversations surrounding the Native American veterans, the LGBTQ plus veterans. We've got a podcast that we're going to have a conversation on hosting virtual hiring events, and so that's a big one too. Like we're still involved with a lot of virtual things. As our country slowly opens back up, this is something that I think is going to be very, very useful in the future. Understanding these virtual events and how to best make use of them and advertise and announce these things. We've got a webinar for serving veterans, a comprehensive guide for frequently used and successful resources. This is more of a best practices webinar. I think that is going to be very interesting. There's a lot of you all that are doing really, really neat stuff out there. And we want to share that. We want to make sure that it's spread across the country, because the last thing we want to do is have a great program, great resources, great processes, and not share those. So a really good opportunity to kind of share your best practices there. So we look forward to that one. Again, in fall, we've got the grants closeout for recipients. We got also the grants closeout for the federal staff, and so it's kind of separated. We're going to address the federal staff side and then also the recipient side. And then we're going to have a conversation, another podcast with NVTI, and you all I'm sure are familiar with the National Veterans Technical Training Assistance Center, NVTI. We're going to have a conversation with that's going to surround all of the neat things and exciting things that they do and how we collaborate with them. And so here's a development schedule, and I asked Hannah to include the schedule in here because it was a bit shocking to me when I first came on board with this detail at all of the work that goes on into developing one of these courses or a podcast. Really just kind of mind-boggling at all the steps that are involved. And so what this highlights is that we take a very structured approach to the schedule. And oftentimes the schedule is very, very tight on reviewing and getting things edited. And so this is a quick look at the the LIBS course, the 9603 LIBS course. And you can see that the course started back in December 2020, and it became available in April 9th. And so that's 4 months, that actually 5 months that we've been working on this one to get this one out to you all. And so it's not a quick process that we just kind of throw things together. Everything is very regimented, very scheduled, and so we want to make sure that we're doing our part to make sure that it gets the proper amount of experts involved, the reviews from all sides, and to make sure that when we put it out, it's as comprehensive as it can be. And here's a schedule of podcasts, and this one, when I first saw this one, this is the one that really shocked me, is how much it goes into it. And you can see that there's so much that goes into it with preparing SMEs, subject matter expert questions, transcribing recording, implementing the edits, submitting the script for DOL review, implementing more edits from feedback. As we continue through this, you can see that there's the recording involved, software. We also have the episode recorded twice with the individuals, so I want to make sure we get a good recording. And then the audio folks get involved as well, and they kind of stitch everything together, if you will, and make sure that it flows smoothly. And that this is in my opinion, this is where the magic really happens. We get all these reviews, and we record it, and then when our audio folks get involved and kind of seamlessly put everything together, and you hear that recording, you're like, wow, that's really good. And so it's kind of neat to see how all of these things take place. And you can see the podcast schedule is quite lengthy. And so I'm going to back it up just to see kind of where we started with this one. You see we started back in December. And here we are, we're looking into March again, for one of these podcasts to become available. And so I just wanted to kind of highlight the schedule and show how much goes into building a virtual course, a podcast, a microlearning, a webinar, all these different modalities. We've really put a lot of time and effort into it, and you all put a lot of time and effort into it. I know that everybody has their normal job, and that's a full plate right there. And then we ask you to provide content and to review the material and to provide feedback, and a lot of that takes extra time. And just to say we truly appreciate it, and we couldn't do it without you. So with that, I'm going to turn the next segment of this event over to Hannah to talk about the JVSG Career Roadmap Certification Pilot.
Cool. Thank you so much, Brandon. And before I jump into that, I do want to just echo what Brandon said around just the value that you add to everything that we do. We could, as you put it, develop this all in a bubble and never know if we're on the right track. And it's all of your just exhaustive efforts. And it's always humbling whenever we reach out and ask for volunteers. We always get too many volunteers because you all want to help so much and you're so willing to give that extra time. So I wanted to make sure that we really highlighted that and that you hear me say that also. And I was glad that Brandon wanted to bring up those development schedules, because I think it shows the back and forth with the subject matter experts who are in almost all cases you all. So almost always the subject matter experts are you. And it also shows the back and forth with DOL vets, and that we're that everything really is going through that kind of thorough review to make sure that we're not just getting it done, we're getting it right. And that's really what's critical and what's important to us. So let's talk a little bit about one of the elements that we're working on developing right now. We've been getting some great input from the field. We've had some folks provide input. Uh-oh, current audio quality is poor. I am not sure why. Let me see if I can do. I will ask our producer, Shelley, to jump in and see if there's any reason or anything that she can do to maybe help out with my audio a little bit. So we'll see if we can do anything with that. I'm going to keep on going because I'm getting some notes that it hasn't changed for some people, but it has for others. The good news is that means that in the recording, it should be nice and clear for everybody. So I'm going to keep on going, and hopefully it will. Hopefully Shelley will be able to work some magic, or whatever is wrong will resolve itself. So again, something that we're working on is the JVSG Career Roadmap certification pilot. Do want to make it very clear that this is going to pilot on a very small scale first, because we want to obviously figure out if all the different ways to break things before we have hundreds or thousands of people participating in this particular program. So we're going to pilot it on a very small level, but we wanted to highlight what we've been working on with vets as well as with a number of individuals from the field. So the idea is that we'll pilot a roadmap program, a certification program that's going to have 3 different levels for each of the JVSG funded positions. So there's a DevOps specialist, the LVER staff, and of course the consolidated position. We're going to start with a foundational level certificate. And as you can see, it's really the program that you already go through, including the enrollment in the Making Careers Happen for Veterans community of practice. It will be something that individuals will need to sign up for. We're working on the communications and the whole plan, written plan of how, if you've completed all of this already, how you would get your certification after the pilot. So all of that will be very clearly communicated as we move into it. But we are looking at having a foundational level NVTI professional certificate that goes along with each one of these particular career paths or roles. And that'll come with a certificate. It'll come with, of course, the change to your signature line. So it will have NVTI professional in front of DevOps specialist, LVER staff, consolidated position. And this is the track that we're looking through for it, the classes that we're looking at. It gets really exciting as we move from the foundational level into the next is the career developer level. So it's an NVTI professional career developer. And these are, as you can see, some different programs for the DevOps, the LVER staff, and the consolidated that take that learning to another level. You're taking advanced classes. You're increasing your ability, for instance, to provide career coaching services for special populations. You're looking at workforce solutions, and you're also a contributor to the community of practice. So that's one of the additional elements, is that you're also a contributor to the community. You're contributing substantive discussion and helping to move the conversation forward. There'll also be a brief, although I do like to make sure I say low stakes assessment at the end of it. Please don't think of it as a high stakes assessment. It will be a very low stakes, making sure you've gone through the training programs, completed everything you need to, and affirming a few elements. So that's going to be the NVTI professional career developer level. And that's really the next level in the career path for those JVSG funded positions. The final is the thought leader. And so that's the NVTI professional thought leader. This is a whole step forward. It's going to require the recommendation of a supervisor, SVC, or DVET. So that's going to have to be part of the application package. There are even more advanced level courses that are going to be necessary. You also see that because we're calling this thought leader, and this is truly someone who is pushing the conversation and the thinking around veteran services forward, it requires a presentation at a veterans conference or a webinar. So, and we'll outline in the communications specifically what that might look like. But that's going to be one component of it. And then again, that increased participation in the community, moving the conversation forward, and substantively contributing to the thinking around veteran services. And another, again, low stakes assessment at the end of it. So that's going to just provide, we're going to plan to pilot, of course, later in this year. So that piloting should be coming in the fairly near future, really. And then once we've piloted, we've determined that all of the systems that need to work with each other in order to make this possible are speaking correctly. We've worked out, as I said, all the different ways to break it and fix those. Then we'll roll that out on a much larger scale with all the communications around it. But it's an exciting thing that we are actively working on and engaged in. We're really looking forward to getting all of you all involved in it. A number of you, as I said, have been already to provide feedback and ideas on it and on really the nuances of it. And it's just something that we're very excited to get out into the field. So that is one of our big upcoming elements. So that certificate program, the career roadmap. And then all of the other stuff that we're continuing in NVTI for 2021. So those kind of things are, of course, we are continuing to do course instruction. We are, as you'll see on our website, continuing to be virtual through fall. So we'll continue to be virtual. We're increasing the number of webinars and podcasts. The monthly articles are continuing to go out, quarterly newsletters. And then we really want to thank you for the participation in those follow-on evaluations. That's something else that we recently implemented. About 90 days after you take an NVTI class, and that's either a live virtual or a cohort course, you get a follow-on evaluation that really asks, okay, in retrospect, 90 days after the class is over with, how did it help you? What do you wish it had done that it didn't do now that you're really working on the job? And what would you like as additional learning opportunities? And we're getting great feedback that way. I mean, it's just opened a whole nother line of communication from all of you. So I really encourage you when you get those emails, if you can take the time, even if you can't fill in the short answer components of it, even if you can just give us the percentages, just the Likert scale type, all of it helps us make better decisions and create better learning experiences for you. So we really wanted to highlight that and that we're going to continue to do that because it does bring in so much valuable information for us. If you want to get involved with us, please feel free to give us an email. We're going to pull up the next slide, actually has both Brandon and my emails and phone numbers. So feel free, shoot an email, give us a call. You can use the contact us form on nvti.org. Student services at nvti.org is always a great way, but we really want to hear how things are going and get your ideas, get your feedback when it's critical and it's, hey, you need to change things. those are the very kind of things that we need to hear about from you. So we definitely want to hear that. And speaking of, I think Brandon and I both want to know if you, now we can't give you, just because of the number of people in here, um, giving audio can be problematic. But if there are any success stories that you'd like to share, anything you'd like to type over in the chat, and if you have any questions for us, this is a great time for both of those elements. We've got a little bit of time left, so again, any questions, any success stories, any aha moments. If you wanna take a moment and type those in over on the side, I'm happy to try to give you audio if you raise your hand, but it can be, again, really problematic with this many folks in the room and very temperamental. So I do worry a little bit about trying to do that. Brandon, while I see a number of folks are typing. We're coming up on the end. Do you want to jump in before we go to the contact slide and add any additional context or anything else you'd like to say?
Sure, Hannah. I think I'll just close with this, and we've talked a lot about really needing feedback, and from my early on days in the military, someone told me right away that you're never going to learn anything from somebody who always agrees with you. And so that's kind of what I took with me, is always to seek out somebody who has a different perspective and can add value to your overall understanding. And that's what we seek to do with these courses and the developments that we're doing here at NVTI. Is really to gain a better perspective of what we're doing. And that survey, that 3-month survey that Hannah talked about, that's a great way to do that. And so, like, as you all heard, we do our best proofreading after you hit send on the email. And then someone, sends back and says, hey, this says that or that. And you're like, oh, I didn't realize that. Same way, after you guys get back to your work centers and you're back involved in the daily job, it's always good to have that that perspective after you stepped away from something, to see if it's still providing value to you, or what could have been done better. So really good way to provide that follow-on feedback. And now that I've been back a couple months, I think that course really would have helped me better this way, or the course was spot on. I'm actually using everything in the course and it's really working. So just kind of wanted to, foot stomp the feedback again. Understand that, you all are doing fantastic work out there. We want to hear about it. If you have ideas that you think would be a great way of training, whether it's a micro-learning, a podcast, a webinar, or even your revision to a course that you took, please let us know.
Here. I saw that one. Thank you, Brandon. Absolutely. And Monique, great question. So over in the chat, Monique has asked, would it be possible in the class schedule page to indicate if a course has openings or if it is full? And she does mention that Allie does a great job. But if we knew it was full, we could just move to the next open course. And we do like to thank Allie, who you all mostly talk to whenever you email back and forth with NVTI Student Services. So we are actively investigating that. So Monique, thank you for asking that. We're actually working on some updates to the website that will make the course schedule and the course description pages more dynamic. And that is one of the elements that we are investigating. I don't know exactly when. I don't have an ETA on that, but one of the many elements that we've looked into is that particular item. And if there's a dynamic way that we can have that update, because we do hear you, and there are conversations and some background IT investigations around how to most effectively make that happen. So great question, and thank you for asking it. Oh my gosh, what a nice post. So Joseph, success story. Um, Sounds like you really went after an LVER opening, got the training that you needed, and it really helped you in the interview process. So that is great to hear. Thank you so much for sharing that success story, and definitely a fist bump all around there. So very, very glad that we were able to help with that, and thrilled that you're in the role and able to use what you learned and your experiences and your background to contribute. So thank you so much for sharing that story. That is exactly, we love to hear that kind of stuff too. So please feel free to tell us success stories. It means so much to us to let us know how the training is helping, and gives us a good idea of how we can help others. I mean, that's really what it's about. So I'm going to go ahead and skip to the next slide. If you're looking to get in touch with myself or with Brandon, our contact information is here on the slide. I'm very, very much a modern person. It is probably easier if you do your first contact with me on email, just because of the sheer volume of phone calls. But I will always pick up and will always be happy to hear from you all. And then, of course, you also have Brandon's information down there. So please don't be strangers. Let us know. Let us know what we can do better. I think Brandon's absolutely correct. We don't learn things when everybody agrees with us. And let us know what we've done right so we know not to change it. Because we could think we're making something better and actually remove something from a class or from a website or anything that you find really useful and that you would like to stay there. So please do let us know those things as well. I see a number of folks typing. I think we're kind of winding down. We've got about 8 minutes, but I definitely want to make sure that if there are questions or comments coming through, that we have an opportunity to answer those for you. We will provide, as I said, the link immediately to the recording of this training, so you'll get that via email. We'll also put that initial link up at nvti.org, and that link will be there until we're able to create the fully captioned and accessible recording of this particular webinar, and then it will be replaced with that. So thank you all so much. Glad to see all the friendly faces, or I guess names, and so many new ones as well. And we look forward to seeing and hearing from you much, much more in the future. Thank you all.